After the breakup, she did not cry loudly or collapse the way people expected. Lin Xiaoyu simply stopped believing in promises. For 3 years, she had given everything to a man who spoke about forever as if it were cheap, disposable, something that could be replaced the moment a richer future appeared. When he left, it was not with anger or guilt, but with calm calculation, explaining that love alone was not enough and that he needed a woman who could support his ambitions. That sentence settled inside her chest like cold iron. Xiaoyu walked away without begging, without asking for reasons she already understood. She returned to her small apartment, packed away memories, and went back to work the next day as if nothing had happened. Only at night, when the city lights faded, did the silence remind her that she had trusted someone completely and lost. Xiaoyu worked as a legal translator for an international firm, quiet, precise, invisible, unless needed. She had learned early in life that independence was the only shield that never broke. Her parents had passed away years earlier, leaving her with nothing but responsibility for herself. Love, she had believed, would be the one place she could rest. The breakup changed that belief permanently. She stopped expecting warmth from people and focused instead on control over her own future. 2 months later, an unexpected proposal arrived, not from love, but from necessity. Her grandmother, the last living relative she had, was seriously ill. Medical costs were overwhelming, and the hospital demanded guarantees Xiaoyu could not provide alone. That was when a family acquaintance introduced an idea that felt unreal: a contractual marriage. The man was Lu Shenyan, the CEO of a multinational investment empire, a billionaire known in business circles for ruthless efficiency and absolute privacy. He needed a wife for reasons no one fully understood, possibly family pressure, possibly strategic alliances. The marriage would be legal, discreet, and protective. In exchange, her grandmother's treatment would be fully funded, and Xiaoyu would gain financial security and safety. There was no talk of love, no expectations beyond public appearance and mutual respect. Xiaoyu hesitated for exactly one night. By morning, she signed. Lu Chenyan was nothing like she imagined. He was calm, controlled, and distant, with eyes that observed rather than judged. He did not touch her unnecessarily, did not question her past, and did not make promises. Their agreement was clear: separate lives, shared status, and protection under his name. On their wedding day, the media saw elegance and perfection, but inside the car afterward, silence ruled. Xiaoyu felt neither happiness nor regret, only relief that survival had won over emotion. Life inside the Lu residence was structured and guarded. Security followed her everywhere, not intrusively, but constantly. At first, she found it suffocating. Then she remembered how unsafe the world had felt after her breakup, how vulnerable she had been walking alone at night. Under Lu Chenyan's protection, that fear slowly disappeared. He never interfered with her work, encouraged her to continue her career, and ensured that no one from her past could harass or threaten her. When her ex-boyfriend tried to contact her, the attempt ended quietly, decisively, without drama. Xiaoyu never asked how. She didn't need to. What surprised her most was Lu Chenyan's respect. He treated her not as an accessory, but as an equal presence. When attending events, he introduced her simply as his wife, without embellishment, without possessiveness. Yet behind the scenes, his protection was absolute. If someone spoke to her disrespectfully, they never did so again. If business partners crossed boundaries, contracts vanished. Xiaoyu began to understand that his silence was not indifference, but control. Slowly, trust replaced caution. They shared dinners, brief conversations about work, occasional humor that appeared unexpectedly and disappeared just as fast. Lu Chenyan never asked about her breakup, but one night, when he noticed her staring at the city lights with distant eyes, he said only one sentence: "Some people lose you because they never deserved access to your future." He did not wait for her response. He left the room, and Xiaoyu sat there long after, realizing that protection was not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it was quiet understanding. Her grandmother recovered. Medical bills disappeared from her worries. For the first time in years, Xiaoyu slept without calculating expenses or fearing emergencies. The marriage had begun as a transaction, became a shield, and within that shield, she began to heal. She grew stronger at work, earning promotions and respect. People no longer saw her as someone fragile. They saw her as Mrs. Lu, a woman who stood calmly beside one of the most powerful men in the country, without shrinking or exaggerating herself. Lu Chenyan noticed this transformation silently. He had entered the marriage expecting efficiency, but what he found was resilience. Xiaoyu never relied on his wealth emotionally, never used his power for vanity. She remained herself, composed and intelligent, and that constancy drew his attention more than any display of affection ever could. Without realizing when it happened, his protection shifted from obligation to instinct. When danger finally appeared, it was not dramatic, but calculated. A rival corporation attempted to use Xiaoyu as leverage, assuming she was merely a decorative wife. The attempt failed within hours. Lu Chenyan's response was swift and invisible, but the message was unmistakable. Xiaoyu was untouchable. When he returned home that night, he checked on her personally, standing the doorway longer than usual, as if ensuring she was truly safe. Xiaoyu met his gaze and nodded. No words were needed. That was the night she understood the difference between the love she had lost and the protection she had gained. Her former boyfriend had promised a future, but abandoned her when it became inconvenient. Lu Chenyan had promised nothing, yet built walls around her life strong enough to withstand any storm. And without realizing it, within that protection, something deeper than obligation began to grow.